Hello guys, this is Krishna Adya and here we are going to see about callback functions using JavaScript. So now let's see that. Now let's start our task. The task that we done in our last session was window manipulation, and in this session we will learn about callback function using JavaScript. Now what do you mean by callback function? Callback function is used for synchronization execution of a function. In simple words, we can say that callback function is the name of the function that we can give as a parameter to another function. Now let's see in detail. So there's a one function and the second function. Now if we call the first function first and the function 2 second, then what will be the output? The output will be function 1 and function 2. That means the first function will be executed and then the second function will be executed. So now it's working perfectly. So the question arises that what is the use of callback function and why we use it? This is working synchronously. So let's see that. Okay, so there's a function that contains 5 seconds, means it takes 5 seconds to execute it. Then there's a second function will be executed immediately as when the page runs. And if we call the function 1 and then function 2, then what will be the output? The output we will gain is the first of function 2 will be executed and then function 1 will be executed. So this is known as asynchronous execution of the function. When the function we will call without using the callback function, the second function will not wait for the first function to be executed. So when we use the callback function, our output will be function 1 and then function 2. We use the callback function, at that time the second function will execute for the first function to executed and then the second function will be executed. So how much time the first function takes doesn't matter. First it will execute it and then only the second function will be executed. So now let's see how to do this in our code. Okay, so now let's start our code. In our code we will create two functions and the first function will be executed after 2 or 3 seconds and then the second function will be executed. So this is our working, and first we will call the function simply that we regularly call by calling the both functions, and then we will call the function using callback function, so that you can get the perfect idea about how callback function works. So now let's start our code. So first let's save our file. I am saving my file as callbackfunction.html. Now let's give the title over here. Let's say as callback function, and we will create two JavaScript functions. So for that the script tags are required, and we know that to create a function in JavaScript the function keyword is used and then it is followed by the name of the function. So let's give the name of the function as fu and 1, that refers to our function number 1. Now we will give the timeout over here. To set the time, there is a keyword over here that is built-in keyword, that is set time out, and it contains two parameters, that is the name of the function that we want to execute or the full function that is with the code that we want to execute. So over here in this case we will write all the function in the set timeout function. But what we will do in this function, in the first function we will add the value of two numbers and then we will store it into the third variable. So now to do that we need to give the parameters over here, and let's create a function in set timeout. Now let's create the function over here. So first let initialize the variable c, and in that we will add both the variables. Now we will print its value using document.write, and in every code that is in normal life we use the double inverted commas, or we can say single inverted commas, but over here we will use the tilde sign. Now what is the difference between using the quotes or using the tilde sign is, if you use the single or double inverted commas that we use in our normal code, in that if you want to print some variable, then we need to use the plus sign that is used for the concatenation. But using tilde, there is no need of concatenation sign. We can join that as a string only, but it will appear as a variable that have its works normally. Let's see in code that what is the difference. So let's say I want to type hey and then the value of a. So I need to do like this. But instead we use the tilde sign. Let's say is yes, and if I want to write the same thing, then the code will be hey dollar in curly braces, give the name of the variable. So this will work. Okay, so now let's see that how to do our function. So first let's print something over here. Let's say as the addition of a and b is c. Okay, and over here we will give the time over here. Let's say is 3000, that is 3000 milliseconds, that refers to 3 seconds. Now let's create our second function, and in second function we will just print done. So our both function is created over here, and now what we need to do is we need to call both the functions. So first let's try by simply calling the first function first and then the second function. So to call the function, we know that just write the name of the function, and if it creates any parameters, then give its value. And now let's give our second function. So what will be the output over here is the first function, that the done will print first and then the addition will occur. So now let's see that our perfect output works or not. So the first is done, and after 3 seconds the addition of 10 and 20 is 30 is done. So what I've done over here is the second function is executed, and then the first function is executed. But we call the first function first and second function second. So this is known as asynchronous working of the function. The second function will not wait till the first function is executed. So if we want the functionality that either there is any time or no time, always the first function, in any condition, the first function should be executed first and then the second should be executed. So for this the callback function is used. Now how to do that? So for that, first we need to give the parameter over here. Let's give the name as callback. Instead of callback, you can give any type of name over here. If you want to give your name, then you can give that. But the word or the name which you have given over there, the same name or same word will be used over here. That is to call that. Now instead of this parameter, we need to give the value, that is the value will be fun2, that will be the name of our second function, and there is no need to create the second function from here. So now by this way you can use the callback function. But first let's check that the output is working properly or not, and then I will explain you that how it works. So now let's again open our file. Okay, so after 3 seconds the first function is executed, and when it is executed then the second is done. So our callback function works properly. Now let's understand that how it works. So what we have done over here is, first the first function is only called, okay, and it will be first executed this task, that is to add both the variable and to print the answer. And then the second function is called over here. So what is the simple meaning of callback function is the callback function means the name of the function or the name of the function which we can give as a parameter into the second function. So this is the simple meaning of callback function, and you can use this in jQuery also, but there's some syntax changes. This is the simple example of callback function. You can perform the callback function by let's say as hiding an element and giving an alert into the second function, or we can say that is by using the fed in or fed out in the first function and give an alert into the second function. So there are many examples to view the how callback function works. This is the simple example, and by this way you can see that the callback function works. So thank you for watching my video. If you like it, then please subscribe my channel.